Hi guys, today we have a lovely conversation for you with my brother. We're going to be talking about some life updates before the end of the year, some things we're looking forward to in the summer, a lot of things about mindset and staying strong, being charismatic and social. So this is a great conversation about how to be more extroverted and talk to more people, meet more people, and some of the reasons that we do it and what we think we'll get out of it, and also why we just have come to learn more about ourselves and learn that we love talking to people, love meeting people like us, because it makes life more interesting. And so stick around for the whole conversation or just parts. I'll try to give a brief overview in the description, so go down and check that out. And yeah, look forward to it. Like the video if you gain anything out of it, and subscribe. Enjoy. Yeah, welcome to the AD podcast. We have Nick yet again. Episode 3.
Why don't you do intros after?
Yeah.
Why are you doing the intro now?
It's a little welcome. Welcome.
Welcome to the podcast. What are we talking about today, Andrew?
Well, I think we're going to start with some brief updates. Now we're going to get into some topics for today. So, Nick, it's getting towards the end of the school year. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. A little tired and excited for summer. We're about to go in here to the finals week of school and then a lot of studying during the next week until the finals on 5 and 7 days from now.
Yeah, well, I know I'm going to try to probably batch some shorts that people can expect.
Remember,
over the
we're
next
talking
week.
to each other, not the
Yes.
cameras.
Yes. Stop. I know I'm going to batch some videos for the next week, probably. Some shorts. So then I don't worry about it at all during the next week, so that I can just really focus on school. But yeah, you're right. It'll be a lot of studying.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think you're going to do for Spanish? Like, what exactly do you think you're going to do to study?
So I think I
Some
should actually
techniques.
cover my whole study plan here. So
All right. What's your study plan?
my plan for Spanish was going to be about 30 to 45 minutes a day with the textbook, and then 100 XP on Duolingo, and then like the 1,000 or so Anki flashcards I have. And that should all together take about an hour and a half each day. And then talking with you for maybe 20 to 30 minutes a day as well. It'll be like 2 hours of Spanish a day. And then I also want to do about an hour of chemistry notes reviews, 2 to 3 hours of chemistry practice problems, and then maybe an hour or so of like chem YouTube videos to really try to hone in on this kinetic stuff because it's still a little confusing.
Mm-hmm.
And then about an hour each day of working on the psych essay.
Yeah.
That good.
Yeah. For me, and I'll ask you about how you feel about the specific things you're doing. For me, I think I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing in regards to the psych stuff. Writing a bit each morning is like the first thing I do.
Mm-hmm.
Then probably going on to some chemistry before lunch. Later, some Spanish after lunch for a bit. Like, and that'll be like listening to podcasts, my daily Duolingo
You
lesson.
swallow that ice in your mouth?
It's already melted. Doing some Duolingo, doing my Anki, studying the textbook. Podcasts I'm trying out. I may not do it later on just because, I don't know, I feel like it detracts from other things when you're trying to listen and look at your textbook at the same time. I figured it would
What do you
something.
mean with podcasts? What are you
It's
gonna
like
do?
I figured
with those?
maybe I could like layer on things by studying Spanish and then also listening to somebody speaking Spanish, and so like it would subconsciously make my brain start to pick up.
Oh,
more
as you're
on
studying
those things.
Spanish?
Yeah, like listening to Spanish as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe just do that in like as
Yeah,
an
I'm trying
added
it
thing. Maybe not like while you're studying.
Yeah, I'm trying it out while I'm studying, and then I'll probably change it if I feel like it's not doing too much.
Yeah.
But then probably some Spanish towards early afternoon. Do some more chem. I'm not really reviewing my notes that much. I'm mainly doing practice problems. Like right now I'm going through all of the practice sheet packets. I think practice problems are the best way to study, and I'm sure you've thought about that as well. And so I'd like to ask, how do you feel about Anki and Duolingo versus like studying a textbook or doing practice problems in the textbook?
I think Anki and Duolingo are pretty good. Anki, you can just bust through some flashcards. You can do like 100 in a few minutes, and then do like 1,030 minutes tops. Really?
You can do 1,030 minutes. Oh, that's fascinating.
Anki? Yeah, bro. I bust through them. I don't. Mine aren't just verbs like yours are though. Duolingo's nice because it adds all the grammar words, really, and then as far as I'm on like section 3, unit 10 or so. Yeah, don't chew ice during this podcast. Fine. I really like it. It's similar to how you mentioned with chemistry practice problems, how they're better than just passively reviewing your notes and textbook. It's more active learning. Yeah, what I do is I try to go through practice problems and either mentally or physically take note of what I don't remember, and then go back in and try to look at my notes. And then also, I know that there will be some things that I don't even remember at all that I also don't have practice problems for, that I just haven't come up in TA sessions or class, that I know I have to look in my notes just to make sure I have everything squared away. Something that someone recommended to me was just to look on the internet for practice problems. Like literally go on the internet, search up Kinetics practice problems. Like Quizlet has a lot of flash decks that you can use. Yeah, it seems really good. So any other more general updates for your life? Where are you at with your fitness, and any exciting plans for summer? Fitness, I'm really happy. After we shoot this podcast, I'm going to have a lot of soccer today. I'm really loving soccer. I think that'll be something really fun to do over the summer, and then as I continue, I think that's going to be like more of a lifelong sport whenever I can. Of course, when we become surgeons, there's not going to be much time for things. Life updates right now, though. How's updates right now. Looking 10 years into the future. I'm just saying things. And so, life updates right now. Fitness is doing good. Grades, could definitely try harder. And I'm trying to every day. I've really gotten into listening to worship music, more often. Like it used to only be a church thing, and then I figured, oh well, I'm really happy when I'm singing praise. So I thought, yeah, but maybe I'll be happy more often if like instead of when I want to take a break from things, like going on my phone and watching like some informational video or like just something mindless, like either reading my Bible or praying or singing worship or like looking at something that I could do to like learn more about the Spanish, the psych, chemistry stuff we're learning about. Yeah, one thing that just came up that I'm a little curious about is how have you felt? How has your thinking changed this semester, going from the beginning of the semester being pretty sad about not having a roommate to now having gone through a year with no roommate? Yeah, I'm honestly happy I haven't had a roommate. It's allowed me to really keep my room as like a quiet space. Where'd you start in this whole roommate thing? Where was your headspace at before this year? I figured I wanted a roommate because coming out of high school, I was not near as social as I am now. And so I figured a roommate would really give me like a lot of exposure and force me to get out and like really get close to someone. And I figured it would also like serve as that like social base because obviously you get really close to a roommate. So I figured, oh, I'll always have that person that I know. I mean, we've seen how your roommate has been. But I thought it'd be the ideal where it's like I always have someone I know. And so like even if I don't go like be friends or hang out with anyone else, I'll always have like a close friend because you live on a different floor, so I can't always see you. But like I would just have someone to always talk to and stuff like that. You say that, but you can literally always go to wherever. I could, but yeah, that's gonna be something to think about next year. Especially if we go to different colleges, we're both really gonna have to meet people and find people to live with junior and senior year of college. Like actually be outgoing. We're gonna really have to get close to people. Close enough to live. Antisocial just because it's more beneficial for self-improvement. Yeah. Actually go out and meet people. Yeah, that'll be fun. I know it'll be a challenge. It'll push us out of our shell more, but I think it'll be a lot of fun. Really having to meet people and be close to people, like you said, to find potential people to live with for 2 years.
But like I know the type of people we are, and like how confident we are in ourselves, and like how we present ourselves. I feel like alongside all the effort that I know we're both going to put into finding it because it's so important, I think we'll attract people that are like us. Because that's like reflecting into my eyes a little bit, your watch. I think people who don't really like us, like our type of person, we don't want to be friends with them anyway, but like they'll like push away. But the people who like the type of people that we are, like we've met some people like that here. They'll just want to be friends with us. The people who like to work hard and like to be around like productive people who want to keep improving.
It's not even just those type of people. I've noticed a lot of people want to be friends with us here.
Okay. Why do you think that is? Or I mean, like I know why that might be, but like, what have you noticed?
I don't know. I think I've just been more charismatic in general. I don't think people. I think the way you described it is you. It sounds like the way you describe
people like me.
Yeah, it sounds like people with you. It's like very. People, you aren't going to make any friends until they meet you very deeply, because you're not going out on a first date or a first encounter with someone telling them all your deepest desires, right? At the end of the day, it is being charismatic that's going to attract people to you, because even if you do find people like you out there, if you're not like charismatic, outgoing in the beginning, they're still probably not going to like you.
Okay, so I should explain. I should say more. I mean, when I could see why you might think that. But yeah, I can see what you mean. Being charismatic, that's very important.
Because people aren't going to want to know more about it.
Right, nobody's going to
initially excited.
Nobody wants to talk to people if they're not talkative. Nobody wants to.
Not even just talking.
Nobody wants to be.
If they're boring.
Nobody wants to be carrying a conversation completely. Talking to like a brick wall. Nobody wants to do that. So you're right. You have to consciously go out and meet people, even if you may, upon first glance, think that they're not someone. But because like you never know. Okay, you want to go into some other topics, or you want to share any more thoughts?
No. What questions do you have for me?
Okay.
I feel like I've been asking all the questions the past two beat-ups.
One question.
The past two beat-ups.
Nah. The past two AD productions. Yeah. Okay. So this whole year we've both like tried to make a conscious effort to meet girls, be more outgoing in terms of relationships. We don't have to get into how that's been, but obviously that's
fine getting into how that's been.
Whatever
actual questions you have for me, ask them.
Fine. So how's that been? Like, how do you think your progress has come with meeting women?
I think it goes back to being charismatic. I think I've been a lot more charismatic
in
talking to people, a lot more confident in talking to people, and that's really given me a lot of confidence in going out. Like when I talk to people, I'm a lot more like happy about it. I act a lot better. I'm not like quiet and nerdy about it. I think that's had a lot to do with not playing video games, not being on my phone as much, and having a lot more to talk about. And then obviously being able to say whatever I want to you really tells me what not to say to other people and what
works with normal people.
Yeah, because I can't tell other people, even on these podcasts, beat-up productions. I can't tell them
How many times you said beat-up productions?
I can't tell them everything that I tell you.
Right, of course.
Yeah, but it has been pretty good talking to girls. It's as scary as it was.
Yeah, they got cooties, man.
Yeah, they got cooties. Not to mention the cheese touch, bro. Statistically,
yeah,
there's a 50% chance in the world that a girl has the cheese touch. Like
15.
Yeah, bro. Because if there's 50% girls and boys on the world, there's a 50% chance that a girl has the cheese touch.
You're losing me here. I think you're losing everyone else too.
No, you
comment cheese touch if you understood that.
Comment cheese touch if you ever watched Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
No, if you never even understood what you said.
Yeah, but it's been great. As scary as it is, I feel like it's really been. And then it doesn't even make you just better at talking to girls the next time, because if you talk to a girl one time, you'll probably
just gives you confidence.
If you learn from that experience and get better at it next time, you'll get better at talking to girls, but you'll also get better at talking to guys, not in a gay way, but just like more charismatic in general.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Just stop moving your thoughts.
the more inputs and outputs you get, the more easy it is to learn.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Like at the beginning of the year, it took me a long time. Like even during the whole first semester, I really didn't. I would meet people, but I wouldn't really put in any effort beyond that. Like beyond just getting names, hearing basic things, like having small talk.
That's something that
And then this semester, I really started meeting people, started hanging out with people, talking to people more.
That's something that I've learned and thought about myself that I really enjoy in other people. A lot of the people that I'm close with now are people who made an effort to talk to me and be my friend. And I really thought about it. I'm pretty thankful for those people, but I also thought that I myself need to make more of that effort.
Yeah,
that's
communication skills.
I mean, I guess we're talking a lot about charisma now, but I mean that's part of being charismatic. You making the effort, not always providing like not always just being someone who has value.
Mm-hmm. Sharing that value.
Sharing that value and then,
in it, right?
And then just being the one that. I mean that's also part of providing value. I think in any relationship you should aim to provide more value than the other person.
Yeah.
It's not a competition thing, but
yeah.
I mean, if you all you ever do is provide value, that's like what Alex Hormozy always says. Yeah. Just provide, and even if you never get anything in return, that's okay because you'll have made a positive impact on somebody.
Yeah. One thing Hamza says is that the best thing you can do in any group. Well, what he uses is like a tribe of men. He says,
Circle jerk. Go on.
What was that?
What?
What?
Go on. No, go on.
No, Nick. A tribe. Your tribe of men.
Trouble.
So, he says, you will feel your best when you're providing value to them. And it will also raise you up in the hierarchy. El escalafón, as they say in Mexico.
Wait, so where were you going with this?
So
before you get sidetracked by Spanish.
Always talk about Spanish.
What's the point of
this? Yes, I understand. Let's not do that. So
whoever spreads their legs more is the hottest. I guess you can't be the bigger man.
So you feel your best when you're providing value to your group of friends, men, women, whatever. You feel your best when you're providing value and rising up in the hierarchy. And so as a man, you naturally most men have an inclination to be a leader, right? And so the best way you can do that is to provide value that no one else in your group can, and go into that and just keep learning and helping each other grow. Focusing on your individual specialties, like specializations almost, to really make the whole group better.
That's got to be one of the most rewarding things as a man. As scary as it might be to lead people and the amount of work it requires to lead people, and as much as you might not think you're doing a good job, the rewarding feeling that you get from leading people, or like being valedictorian, for example, I thought it would be, when I was in the 9th grade of high school, I thought it would be super scary to go up on stage, super scary to put in all that work to get 4.0s. I didn't even know I wanted 4.0s in high school. After I got into a college, I figured, my whole senior year I can just coast by.
Right.
But then when I became valedictorian, when I was told I wanted to do this, hey Nick, do you and Andrew want to do the valedictorian speech? I instinctively said yes, but my feelings right after were, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak in front of a lot of people.
I remember when you told me that, and I was like, oh my gosh. But like, I didn't imagine how many people would be there. I thought it was just going to be like the people at ASU, so I was like, it'll be like 150 students, 200 students, and their parents.
And then when she told us you'll be speaking in front of over 1,000 people, and I think it ended up being over 1,500 people.
Yeah, it was a massive basketball stadium.
It was in the ASU, the Arizona State University
Sun Devil Stadium.
Sun Devil basketball stadium, and I mean, for anyone that knows what that is, that's a very, very large stadium. Probably seats close to 5,000, 6,000 people.
Yeah, I mean, they had like one whole section filled up by students, and then all of the upper sections and sides were just filled with parents. But yeah, that's another thing that I think I've been developing a bit, is like public speaking and communication in general, like we talked about a bit earlier. But one of the books over there, over 1,000 ways to communicate effectively and speak, I think is the name. That's a butcher, but it has a lot of great tips about the psychology of speaking with people, and it also makes that connection between speaking in front of small groups and then also going out and transitioning into larger. And so what it says is speaking to 5 people, that's essentially the same as speaking to 10 people. 10 people is like almost the same as 20, and you just keep going up from there.
Can you elaborate what that means? Speaking to
So,
5 is the
if
same
you can-
as 10?
It makes it a lot easier to, well, I guess I shouldn't say it's the same, but it's not that hard to go from speaking to 5 people to speaking to 10 people. In terms of, you're not going to feel that much more nervous if you go from like 5 to 10 rather than like 5 to 1,000,
That
like
much
kind of like
nervous.
we did. That much more nervous.
Instagram quote right there.
That much nervous.
You won't feel that much.
I'm not that much nervous, bro. And so
That's some Louisiana shit right there.
every now and then that Cajun tongue.
Who needs grammar English? We got real English.
We got
English.
really.
We got real English.
And so the main point was that it's not that hard to go from like speaking to a group of friends. It's like the same as if you're speaking to your friends, and when your friends brings a new person in, you're not going to feel that much different speaking to everyone. And you just scale that up a little by little, and that's how you build the confidence, and eventually you're speaking in front of an audience. And I think that's kind of what we're doing on YouTube, and that helps me get more out of YouTube, I feel like, is keeping in mind that I'm speaking in front of an audience who's larger than I may know. So I think it's very cool because it also gives me motivation to make sure I'm speaking effectively and giving value and not just giving a lot of fluff, but focusing on what I'm actually trying to teach and say.
It's like how me and you have each had a video that's kind of popped off relative to our audience size. So for you, it was the first of these podcasts.
First AD Productions.
And then for me, it was one of my most recent longer form video.
What's the title? So
18 minutes long. It was
people that
it was called
look for it.
"Don't Be Afraid to Leave Friends Behind," and I thought it was kind of okay video. It mainly centers on that you're a representation of the 5 people that you keep closest to you.
Okay.
So for me, that's my family, you, Jeff and Riley. Those are probably the closest people here at Mac.
Now that I think about it, I can definitely see how us 3 have impacted you.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
Yeah.
And
I think everyone in my life has a very not a different purpose, because I don't want to seem like
impact on you.
I don't want it to seem like I have friends for purpose only.
Right.
But like they all do different things to me. Like Riley's a feminine girl. Jeff is a very very charismatic but lacking in other areas sort of guy.
Yeah.
And family,
ultra masculine.
Family, it's just a super strong relationship. And then obviously you're like
masculine Adonis example to you.
Yeah, you're like a mirror version of me. So,
but like a little better.
Yeah, but I think that's been great. I mean, obviously your family, for me anyway, it's like a rock foundation, and then Riley and Jeff have been good to meet. Yeah, Riley and Jeff have been good to meet. But that's what that video is about. And then I say like, you really shouldn't be afraid to leave. Like for me, those friends they help me in ways they may not realize, but I've left a lot of other friends behind. Like I've probably met 100 people or so here, and of those 100 people, I probably will only ever remember 20 to 30 of them when I transfer.
Yeah.
And then, like, as I said, only really 2 of them besides you have been decent friends.
Yeah, only a certain amount of people stick. I think that's one thing I think we're going to see even more of wherever we go, because we've become so much more social and charismatic, because we're going to we're probably going to 10x the amount of people we meet. And that will also, by nature, come with more people that actually stick.
I already know it's one of the big goals for me when I transfer is to, like, really emphasizing first impressions.
Yeah.
Because I think this semester, not just this semester, but this entire year of college, I made, I think, decently bad first impressions on a lot of people here. Because I was so consumed by work and soccer, fitness and studying, that I never even acknowledged or realized there were a lot of other people here. Like, now that I look around, I'm like, oh, there are actually some decently pretty girls here. There are some, like, smart, hardworking people here. There are some people who I see in the gym a lot. But when I was in that first semester, I was so consumed by my athletic and academic pursuits that I never even acknowledged. And like I have told you before, and I can't remember if I've mentioned on this podcast, I slept 6 hours a night for like 2 months. And I think that led to somewhat bad first impressions because people would see me and they're like, oh, he's just got his headphones in, he's super antisocial. But I was just so consumed that I didn't acknowledge other people are making effort. So that's probably why I enjoy when people make an effort to me, because it makes it easy for me.
You would say you were in monk mode, like the epitome of that sort of philosophy.
Yeah, somewhat. I think it wasn't necessarily a conscious choice to go into monk mode. I keep saying it, but I was literally just so consumed by work.
Yeah, that was me in the first semester. I remember. And this was kind of cringy looking back, but I posted a picture on my Instagram of like when I had you may remember when I tracked how much chemistry studying I did in one day. And looking back and I'm like, that was pretty good, but I think I should have also included how much fun I had doing that, because I think when people see people who are so serious, they don't want to be a part of that. But I think if you communicate that you're having fun doing that, I think then people see that you're having a blast.
Exactly, back to
and I think that's the part that people want to be a part of. Yeah. It's like not the you being holed away on your laptop doing work, like a stereotypical entrepreneur. They want to be a part of the part where you say, I'm having so much fun doing this, and it like trickles into every other part where I'm just so happy because I'm able to do all these things that I love.
That exactly pertains back to charisma. You can really be friends with anyone. Like you could play video games for 14 hours a day and still be charismatic and have a ton of friends. Now that is to mention.
That is harder.
It is harder because as a video gamer, you kind of feel almost dirty about yourself and what you're doing. So I would say there are the activities you do don't necessarily determine your cap of charisma, but I think there's probably some correlation out there of how much time you spend on like your phone or your laptop and how much charisma you have. Because I think some of the most charismatic people I've met, like Jeff, for example, the only thing he's on his phone doing is texting people.
Right.
But he's like constantly out moving, talking with people.
Yeah, subconsciously becoming a better communicator. Yeah, I that's one thing I'll say. You can be very smart, but still be like, have a really like undeveloped personality. Like there's so many intellectuals out there and scientists who like if you talk to them, it's just like, oh, so you're just like a scholar and that's about all you are.
Yeah, and if you have charisma, you can make anything sound fun.
Right. Like even video games, even if you waste your whole day playing video games, like you said, you could be like, oh, but it's amazing and I'm like getting better and I'm improving all the time and stuff like that.
I'm learning all these skills, I'm getting better at talking to people, I have a huge audience, I'm very good at what I do and I enjoy it.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to tie back to, and you reminded me of this when you mentioned video games, was I think what gave us a lot of confidence, or me in particular, is probably you too, but just changing the habits we're doing gives us confidence because we know when people ask us what we're doing, we're not going to be ashamed and be like we were in high school where it's like people ask, what do you do? And it's like, I play video games. Like now it's like, oh, I was working super hard. I was studying. I was working out. I was just having a ton of fun doing all these things.
You just brought up
I was doing these adventures and things like that.
You just brought up a memory in my mind of one of those dumb little icebreakers that every high school teacher has you do on the first week. I was sitting in a group with these two decent looking girls and then Diego Sanchez. And they were like, so what do you do? And this was back when I was going to school for like 7 hours a day and then also playing soccer for like 4 hours a day and then also playing a lot of video games. And they asked me, they're like, the icebreaker was like, explain what your favorite hobbies are. And I was like, I was kind of ashamed to admit that video games were my, as much as you, as like younger kids don't stigmatize it, I was still ashamed to admit that I played more than like 2 hours of video games a day. So I was like, I don't know, like soccer, and I listen to music sometimes, and they were like, oh, what kind of music do you listen to? And I was like, oh, everything. And then I was like, I study and work a lot too. And they were like, oh, isn't that boring? And Diego Sanchez, he kind of had my back. He was super charismatic. He was like, nah, he's just locked in, dedicated to that grind and dapped me up. But I mean, if I had more charisma in that instance, I could have made that situation a whole lot better and made a good first impression on those two girls.
Yeah. One thing, when you say first impression, I think that's one thing that I made a mistake of in the first semester a lot was looking back, I needed to think a lot more about what the things I said. Because even though I was working super hard and I wasn't really being charismatic about it, I wasn't communicating the amount of excitement and vigor I was having to do that, I also wasn't saying things that would make people want to like associate with me. And it wasn't necessarily bad, but it was just things like, oh, well, I work all the time. I really like studying. But of course people are like, well, do you do anything fun? And I'm just like, well, and then I'd kind of trail off the conversation.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I've really enjoyed these adventures we've been doing, where it like gives me something to talk about. And it also allowed me to realize, oh, I really like going out and traveling around the city. I really like rock climbing. I really like seeing nature.
And we also just end up talking to a lot of strangers while we're out there, even if it's not like
Right.
an hour-long conversation with them. We have a lot of interactions with strangers, and that really builds us up too.
Yeah, talking to people you don't know.
I think to touch on that academic part of it, I think when, especially in the first semester, we get under this notion that, oh, I work 12 hours a day, so I should be tired from that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we would have these conversations, we'd be like, we would justify. I would justify it in my head as like, oh, I worked out for 2 hours a day and then I studied for 10 hours, and
Of course,
now
you're
it's
going to be
time.
tired.
Yeah, so
Right.
of course I'm going to be tired, so I don't have to have energy in this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of made me self-isolating in a way. And I mean, as much as I said I was consumed by it, I would self-justify the fact that, oh, I'm tired, so I don't have to. I do all these cool things, so people should just want to be a part of my life. I don't
I
have to
had
make
that
the
same
effort.
thought.
But
Where it was like, oh,
Mhm.
because I had the opinion of, oh yeah, I do all these cool things. People should naturally want to like gravitate towards me. But I didn't realize that you still have to put in a little bit of effort to make those things seem like something people want to be a part of.
Mhm.
And like we said, focus on those aspects that make it seem more interesting.
Mhm.
It's like selling yourself. Not to make it more of like a business thing, but it's like selling yourself. You want to make yourself seem fun. And we do things that are very interesting.
And I don't even know if it's so much focusing only on the fun parts of it. I think it's almost
Focusing on
exclusively.
all of it rather than,
Yeah, I think it's almost
Okay.
exclusively tone.
alright.
Like you're like how you. Yeah, I think that's less so covering certain parts of it, but how you present it. Maybe is a better way to say that. No, my shirt was.
Okay,
caught.
that's fine.
How you present it is maybe a better way to say what
Okay.
you
Yeah.
meant.
That's what I meant.
Like instead of saying
Presenting-
I just sit at my
instead of
desk
focusing
and
on
work all day, maybe you could say I just learn skills. I develop
Yeah.
skills all day long. How you,
You
I
say,
think
like,
that's a little.
You
better
could say
way.
like, instead of, oh, I was studying chemistry, you could be like, I learned about this thing in chemistry and I went and like read a paper about it.
And then you can just name drop some 32 letter compound.
Be like, I had a propane.
I had a propene benzoic
Benzyl
acid. Benzyl. I had
What's
a
the chemical
propene-
formula of that, Nick?
Shit.
You know?
Shit.
Oh my gosh. Some of the things our chemistry teacher says, he says them like we should know that like what a whole compound is,
Mhm.
and he'll show us like the line drawing, if you all know what that is, and then he'll be like, oh, this is obviously, and then he'll say some really long name,
Thiobenzyl acetate.
and I'll be like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
all right, I'll just
Let
write
me
down
just
the
write
name.
that in. Thiobenzyl acetate. Got it.
Got it.
Study that later.
I'll memorize that's gonna be at the whole of medical school, where we'll hear a name and be like,
All the medications are going to be so long.
we're just gonna like look up top 200 most common medications.
It's not just
I need this
Tylenol.
list.
It's not just Tylenol.
It's not just, what do you mean it's not just Tylenol and Advil? Those don't solve everything.
No, even Tylenol, it has a longer name. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Tylenol is just the suffix.
Pepto is also like it's just like a very
Yeah,
it's just a
Pepto.
part of the word.
And then the next step up from that is saying Pepto-Bismol.
and
and
then
then-
there's probably something else beyond that.
Peptolysis benzomalate.
Okay, something if you want to share any more thoughts before I
Nah.
transition a bit. So something I
Ask
wrote
away.
down was making the most of everything, and I think that's what we've kind of touched on in this communication, like making the most of certain things. Making the most of certain things. And some interesting things I wrote down were like transfer and summer jobs. And so like but this could also apply to conversations and talking about things that we do. What's a mentality that you keep when you think about like making the most of things?
I think this was
And like
something
getting the
I-
most out of things.
This was something that I mentioned to Dad the other day, or 2 nights ago, whenever I got one of my acceptances back from the schools. Got into Wake Forest, by the way. pretty decent school. You might
It's an
have heard-
alright school.
You might have heard
It's
of it.
alright.
But I told Dad and Christian as well. He was in the car. I don't think of it necessarily as getting the most out of it. I think in the mindset of whatever you're doing, it's not enough.
Right. There's always so much
And
more you.
To explain that, it's a very med school oriented mindset that I hear a lot of med students say, and I read online and watch videos. No matter how much you do, you're never guaranteed a spot in med school.
Right.
You're never
I'd like to
guaranteed.
share. There was a statistic that I saw in this med school virtual thing that I did. It was like some presentation,
Yeah.
but they said even I don't know if I explained this to you. I know I told Dad about it. You might
Just
have been there
remember
as well.
the overarching goal is weight,
It was-
so don't interject.
You've done that several times.
I want to share this statistic.
So, it was even with the 4.0, don't be like that. It was even with the 4.0 and the max MCAT, you only had, it wasn't 100% to get in.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, you think is insane. But that also shows you that it's also important about what you do in other areas. Because med schools don't just want someone who can just study books. They want someone who can really use that knowledge and develop skills as well. And so I think that's really good that we're doing research this early on, because that already puts us ahead of a lot of people.
Even just what might seem like a simple skill that doesn't seem all that medicine related, being bilingual or trilingual,
Yeah.
just knowing another language, not only does it open up the audience you can serve, but it allows you to relate to people. Maybe you can better relate to other bilinguals, and people who are bilingual or trilingual that weren't just like basically assigned those languages at birth, that actually worked to learn them. It takes a lot of effort to learn another language past the age of like 12, because like a little bit of biological background, if you learn a language during adolescence or before adolescence, it is far easier to learn than as an adult. So even being bilingual, that not only allows you to relate to people who speak just Spanish, for example, like me and you are learning Spanish and English, and I'm gonna, even if it's not required at my next college, I'm still gonna do Duolingo. I'm gonna review my Anki cards. I'm going to probably read the rest of the Spanish textbook that we have, that we only covered 5 chapters.
Yeah, I think I'm
out of,
gonna bring that to me
20.
wherever I go.
Oh, I 100% will.
Yeah, I'm definitely
It's
gonna
so
like
cool.
still study. I've also looked into like auditing a Spanish course. And, like,
Auditing?
So auditing is where you just sit in on a class and you like,
Yeah.
at most colleges
that
it
sounds
seems
like a good idea.
like you still have to like talk with your advisor and think about some learning goals that you want out of the course to like actually get audit
But
credit.
you don't have to do grades
se.
or anything.
Yeah, you don't have to participate in the assignments and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I definitely thought about that, auditing like a somewhat intermediate level Spanish course just to stay fresh in the concepts.
Mhm.
Also like staying fresh and speaking the language. It seems like a fun way, because I definitely want to keep some level of Spanish for the rest of my life, just so I can always have that ability and like tell my kids, hey, like it's good to know this sort of stuff. It's good to like expand your knowledge in more ways than just how to play a sport, how to go into medicine. It's like because I didn't know I liked Spanish,
Yeah, and
but I figured it's fun.
to mention
wanna
what you
know
said
it.
about perfect GPAs and MCATs, the reason they don't like that is, or I mean they do like that, but the reason
Yeah,
they don't
they
just
do.
like that is because at the end of the day, the human body doesn't always look like the textbook. And
Okay, I think
just
I knew.
because you can memorize the anatomy of like a human shoulder, for example, doesn't mean you'd be able to do surgery on it or evaluate it.
Right, you could be an incredibly smart individual, but like have incredibly shaky hands or be incredibly neurotic
Being
and not have people skills.
There's the expression of a mile deep and an inch wide, or a mile wide and an inch deep. Those sorts of students are 100 miles deep and an inch wide.
Right.
But you really want to be a mile wide and a mile deep, because
As much as you can, yeah.
I mean, if you just memorize statistics in a book all day, you'll have some predictive ability. But if you have a lot of diverse experience, you have so much predictive ability, because when things don't always go to plan, like say you prescribe a medication and it has a lot of adverse effects, I think if you might memorize the textbook, which tells you exactly how a medication should go, but it doesn't go that way, you might be a little bit dumbfounded. Versus if you travel to like, I don't know, Bali for a month and you look at alternative treatments,
Mm-hmm. Where are you? I think I know. Okay. I think that's.
No, keep talking.
You're tweaking. Stop it.
No,
Keep
but if
talking.
you look at alternative treatments, you'll understand how primary treatments can interact a little bit better. And then you can also prescribe alternative
Why
treatments.
are you talking about? Why did you say it like
A mile wide and a mile
you
deep.
wait, you
gives
can
better
also you can also prescribe.
Bro, you think like a textbook memorizing doctor can prescribe like tribal dancing?
What are you talking about? Oh, so you're talking you go to these countries and see their alternative medicine.
That's exactly what I said. Alternative treatments.
Yes. Yeah, no, I don't think a textbook doctor is going to prescribe.
Positivity isn't
Positivity. You can prescribe positivity. I prescribe that you leave your current situation. They didn't see that, Nick. Explain.
Okay, starting again. I reached max length. So I guess I'll talk to camera until you sit back down. But I think that's why I said that could be one justification for why I said learning a language is so important, because I think it just makes you really well-rounded, and it teaches you a different way to think.
Mile wide and a mile deep, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Teaches you a different way to think. And so my camera, I don't know about yours, but mine cut off when you were explaining what happened off screen. If you want to go back to that, or we can move on if you want.
I think we can move on.
All right.
I think it's also about time we wrap up the podcast.
Okay, then fine. Let's end off on one quicker topic. Women.
That is not a quick topic. That is not a quick topic at all. That is not. No, pick something shorter.
Do you have anything
The
else?
next podcast can be women.
The next one
No,
again. It's always the next one.
You pick a short topic. I recently found this quote. I think it was by Warren Buffett, where he was like, "If you ever come to a really hard decision, flip a coin, and in that moment, you'll figure out which option you hope for more." Interesting idea.
Yeah, I guess that'll really kick in. What do you really want? What do you really want the coin to land as?
When everything is out of your hands and up to chance, I mean, you can end up making that decision. You don't have to actually listen to what the coin flip says, but it'll show you exactly what you hope will happen. Like if you say, okay, well, this girl's kind of pretty, but I don't know how I feel about her personality, and you flip a coin,
You're going to hope for one or the other.
yeah, you're gonna either hope
Very true.
oh, this girl's not worth it, I hope it lands on tails and I don't have to ask her out, or you're gonna hope, you know what, I really hope this lands on heads and then I'm forced to, because then it almost feels like an authoritative figure is telling you have to do something, and that authoritative figure in this instance is chance.
Yeah, and I mean, you're going to hold yourself accountable if it's something that ended up going in favor of what you want, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I ended up hoping one college versus another and the coin landed and I was going to go, I'm going to be like, okay. I think I want to go here and the coin landed. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a great place to end off the podcast. We ended up talking about a lot more than I thought we were.
Yeah, that was a really nice conversation.
Yeah, I think that was probably our best conversation for the
Our most flowing. Yeah, that was pretty good.
most smooth. Actually talked about it. So I think that sounded a lot less fabricated.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're learning, guys. We're learning.
Hashtag becoming better podcasters.
What's the statistic about how many people don't make it past 3 podcasts? Isn't it like 90% don't make it past 3?
90% don't make it past 1.
And then
99 don't make it past 10.
past like 28.
We're on our way there. Hey, hold on. Come here. We're on our way there, ain't we? Nice high five. Oh, what a great podcast. That one actually felt like an actual conversation. Thank you guys for watching. Comment your thoughts, of course. We always like to hear what people have to say. Challenge our ideas if you want. We'll talk about them. We'll always try to get back to people and acknowledge what you guys say in the chat to try to think ourselves through more. And we're always growing and wanting to learn. So please comment, subscribe if you want to hear more like this, because I know that we're not stopping here. We're going to have the whole summer to make videos and have more discussions just like this. So thanks for watching. Stick around for more. Have a nice day. God loves you, by the way.